It was about 1:30, 1:45 in the nighttime, and I had went upstairs to take the cash bag into our cash room, and I put the bag down and I went to go walk down the steps, and I hit the top steps and I heard 3 footsteps behind me, and I jetted down the steps. I didn't look back. I didn't see anything. I just heard the footsteps and jetted down the steps.
One time I was upstairs in that bathroom that's right up there, and I was closed down and nobody else was in the restaurant, and I sat there and, obviously using the bathroom, and I hear children's footsteps walking down the hall, like back and forth. And I called out to everybody, and there was nobody there. So I came downstairs and I asked my boss, was anybody in the room? There was literally nobody else in the building, only other than us two.
Full blown, lit up, bright as daylight.
Wow.
The problem with that at that time, there was no electricity in that part of the building.
When the devil's in the mood, nightmares come pouring out of hell.
This is Jason Knight reporting for the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast. I'm joined this afternoon by Joe Erie, Dave Black,
hello,
Oscar Spector, and Lexi Raven. We are reporting from the t&js Smokehouse on Put-in Bay, and I'm also joined by the owner of the establishment. Sir, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
My name is Josh Niese. I've owned this building for about 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
So we're reporting from this location because we've heard from many people on the island that the upstairs where we're sitting right now of t&j Smokehouse is really haunted. And that came from many people we encountered last night when we were doing our investigations of the island. What could you tell us about the history of the building and possibly some of the stories that come out of this place?
Well, this is one of the oldest buildings on the island. It was built in the mid-1870s. It started off as a hotel, which up here where we're at right now, there are the old hotel rooms still not being used, but used as storage. It was a dining hall. It served as a restaurant for many years. The same family before I bought it, they had it for 30 years. They were getting old, decided they wanted to sell. So that's when I stepped in and bought this place. They operated it under the Crescent Tavern, a pretty popular island place for years. But we wanted to come in, change it up. Made it the island's only country bar, mechanical bowl, large stage outside, stage inside. So, and then we wanted to do the smoke foods too, which is nice. So big 200-pound smoker, smoke all our own ribs, brisket, pork, chicken on site. So, yeah.
Yeah, listeners, definitely, if you find yourself on Put-in Bay, check out t&j Smokehouse. The food this afternoon was phenomenal. Service was great. And you're kind enough to sit down and kind of walk us through some of the activity that happens here. So we appreciate that as well.
Yeah, so as you guys have kind of seen walking around the upstairs already, you've kind of experienced little things here and there.
It was
already.
weird when I got to like that third from the top stair, and I usually don't feel anything. I'm like a cement brick. I felt like this. The only way I can describe it is like a whoomp, like this energy kind of just shook me for just a second, and then it was gone.
Yeah, as soon as we, well, actually, like last night we were walking around and we didn't even come in, and we felt like wow, it's so haunted upstairs. And then we came in, and it was kind of like not almost closed, like you weren't here.
Yeah.
So figured call tomorrow. But we went in the back. Like I kind of felt in that kitchen area. Like I was like, whoa, it's completely haunted in here. I started feeling it. And then
right. So listeners, Dave Black and Joe Erie did a preliminary walkthrough while we were all still downstairs without knowing anything about the stories, the locations where the stories come from within this top level, and we wanted to see if those stories, those feelings could be corroborated by the owner. So that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
And we'll plug in your and Dave's footage after this interview.
Yeah.
So go ahead, explain what you
guys
felt up here.
The first, as soon as we sat down and started ordering food, I got a panicky feel, like in my chest and my head. I was like, whoa! I didn't tell you guys we're discussing some stuff, and I couldn't even think. My head was like being scrambled. Like,
yeah, you were kind of scared. Yeah.
Like, and I was just extra. I'm like, whoa! Is this the energy of the place, or? And then it started going away. As soon as I started doing my walkthrough and coming up the stairs, I had that feeling again. It's like in my chest and my head, just very scrambly, and just if nothing was coming at me, where I was like getting in my stomach and the goosebumps and the hairs, but it's just a very strong presence up here. And I did a walk. It's the same feel everywhere. I'm not getting it in certain spots up here. I feel the same in every spot up here. Even this, there's things.
You mentioned something about the kitchen or something. Kitchen area.
I haven't walked through yet. That was yesterday. Like, I didn't even do that today. But last night when I went towards the kitchen, I started really feeling it, and I felt like if I did go back there, I would feel stuff in there. And actually, when I was in the bathroom today, and this happened twice, right by the door, I saw on the peripheral vision something. So downstairs in the bathroom, by that bathroom door, the men's bathroom door, and upstairs, it's not coming at me, attacking me, like like sometimes you could feel if it's right there, or it's in the whole upstairs, everywhere.
So any significance, I'll just ask real quick, not to cut you off, any significance to kitchen or bathroom as far as experiences?
I've never had anything as far as kitchen, felt anything or had any experiences in the kitchen. The bathroom downstairs, we do have a hand dryer that likes to kick on at random times, completely random times.
I found that the hand dryer was just on when I was in there.
Oh, really?
It was just on. Like, and I thought, like, I was going to tell something. I'm like, I guess I must know this thing is always on, because it was just running like the whole time I was in there.
Huh.
Well, and we've replaced that hand dryer since we've owned the building. So we thought, okay, maybe there was something wrong with this hand dryer. There was fault in circuits or whatever. Yeah, no, the new one still does it.
Interesting. So what do you think about that? I mean,
it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I've kind of come to live with the building. Being here for this is our 7th season, and being in the building a lot of times by myself, late at night, early in the morning. Tons and tons of stories. We've heard stuff.
I can't wait to get into it. Yeah.
We've heard stuff from the previous owner when I was looking at buying the building. People said, "Oh, the building's haunted." Ghost or spirit, whatever it is, seems friendly. We've never had anybody attacked, but just really, really weird things go on here, and I don't really have an explanation for it.
Yeah, and it's not a bad feeling in here at all. It's very present through the whole upstairs. I mean, it's the same feel everywhere, but it's not it's not an evil malicious.
And I feel that's part of the reason that is because it's the middle of the day. In the middle of the day, it kind of goes and hides. It's sort of like
you were mentioning that earlier at the table downstairs.
Similar to like I like to think of it like a nocturnal animal, like a raccoon or something. Like raccoon's going to go hide under the porch during the daytime, and then at night it'll come out and kind of wander around. And so. When I first came up here, I felt it right at the top of the stairs when you first walk in, because it's almost like you're walking into its like lair, if you will. So you kind of it's almost like walking into an attic that an animal's been in. You can kind of smell it there. And so the first place I actually felt it was in your liquor room, like where you store. Like I'm like, oh, this grenadine is haunted.
All right, so we have a liquor. You pinpointed a liquor room.
Yeah, the liquor room.
Go ahead.
Was definitely where I felt stuff, and the other place. I mean, there was a couple of the rooms I sort of felt stuff in, but not as strong as I did in that liquor room. That's where I felt it, like on top of me, like I normally would in a haunted cemetery or something like that. And then this office that we're sitting in right now is where I gravitated towards. The first time I walked in here, I felt a presence in here. Then I walked around down the hallway and took some pictures and whatnot. And when I came back over here a second time, after I came up a second time, I was taking pictures with my good camera into the room here, and I heard like a slight clicking sound, like it sounded like like a foot tap or maybe something knocking over on a desk, like a pen dropping on a desk, like just a very slight sound. And it was in the room with me. I could hear it. And for a second, I was like, I wonder, I didn't necessarily think it was a paranormal sound, but it was definitely a present sound in the room with me. And then I'm like, oh, there must be somebody over in the room here. And as I walked in, I kind of felt a presence. And I started taking pictures, and I said, hello, is anyone here? And I peeked in that door, and nobody was there. But I could swear it felt like somebody was sitting at that desk in there working on something.
So those would be the two areas you pinpointed: the liquor room and this general office. Is that another office behind
There's
there?
another office.
So this kind of dual office room.
In the hallway in general, upstairs there, in the north part of the building, just kind of.
Okay, because I definitely want to talk about this office area we're sitting in right now. It's quite unique, but any significance to liquor room and this area we're sitting in?
The liquor room, some of my employees have definitely had some experiences in there.
Really?
The light switch is on the outside of the room itself. The guys have been in there stocking liquor most of the time during the day. They have to have light on. There's no window in there. Light just goes off for no reason. They walk out thinking somebody's playing a joke on them. There's nobody upstairs, so they just turn the light back on. There is a small air conditioner in the wall there. I had one kid a few years ago. He said the air conditioner just turned on out of nowhere when he was stocking liquor. He was up there for about 20 minutes, and the thing just kicked on, and he walks out in the hallway and walks around to where it's plugged in, and it's plugged in, but there's nobody up here. And then they've heard stuff, up there or in the liquor room as well and outside it. But when you walk across these floors up here, these floors are from when the building's built. You can definitely hear when someone is walking, and they don't hear anything walking, and they hear stuff. Stuff is happening to them.
Wow.
So,
any audible voices or name call, anything like that?
Nothing, I don't think, in the liquor room. One time, I was coming downstairs, and there was a server in the back dining room and a server in the front dining room, and both of them swore that they heard me call their names multiple times. I didn't call their name at all as I was coming downstairs. I didn't even know that they were still here. And they swore that I was calling out for them to get their attention or whatever, and no words left my mouth. They said it sounded exactly like me, though.
What is
that?
That is...
Our waitress, Alyssa, was it?
Yeah, Alyssa was your server.
Yeah, she said she's only been here a couple weeks, and she said she came up here to get something, and as she was heading back down, she distinctly heard 3 footsteps behind her and ran down the stairs.
That's not surprising. A lot of the girls and even some of the guys don't like coming up here by themselves. The office where we're in now, they come up here and count out at night. So they'll huddle around the desk here and do their server checkouts or count their drawers down. Pretty much all of them have to bring someone else up here.
Not like the Erie red filter on your window makes it seem creepy.
Yeah, so we that was actually up there when we got the building. So behind you guys here, as you guys have noticed, there's some old posters, and they're of T.B. Alexander. And this guy used to own this building around the turn of the century. He was the mayor up here for a few years. And then he was also in some plays. And this picture on the left here is a big poster for one of his plays called Prisoner of Zenda.
Prisoner of Zenda.
And the one on the far right has the bottom corner tore off of it. Just see the last little bit of his name. And the one above the door, is signed yours truly, T.B. Alexander. These were here when we got the building. We were told that during a renovation at some time, these were uncovered underneath the walls.
Yeah,
and then they kind of framed the new drywall around it, and left the pictures.
Recessed into the drywall.
Yes. Yep.
Very unique looking, old, yellowed, peeling.
Yep.
And are these the same pictures that Alyssa had said people here feel the eyes follow them whenever.
Some of the girls feel that. I haven't, thought of that. I mean, I look at it, I bring people up here and they ask about the pictures, and I tell them everything that I know about them. The piece of pink styrofoam over the window is more to preserve the pictures, to keep the daylight out so they don't further deteriorate.
Yeah, I mean, how unique. I've never seen anything like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, these things are big. I mean, they're about 6 feet tall, roughly. Yeah. 2.5, maybe 3 feet wide. So for the two bigger ones, the one above the door is a little bit smaller, but for being over 100 years old, they're in great shape.
Incredible.
Yeah. Any plans of giving them to a historical thing, or preserving them, taking them out, things like that, to keep them safer?
Not really. I just always wanted to leave them on the walls. I think it's kind of a cool conversation piece. They were here when I got here, so whenever I decide not to have this building anymore, I think it'll be something cool for somebody else to have.
Inherit, yeah.
You possibly could save them. It's plaster and lath underneath it. I mean, it's going to be some work to if you wanted to get them out. It would not be fun at all. I think that it would just damage them further if you tried to remove them. So I think they're probably best just left right where they're at.
Yeah. Does anyone ever think or claim it might be T.B. Alexander? There's
quite a few people. Quite a few people who claim that it's actually his ghost that is. Or spirit that's haunting this building.
And what are your thoughts?
I think yes and no. I think there's something else up here, and I'll kind of get into that in a few minutes. But like I said, when we bought the building, or when I bought the building, people say, "Oh, the place is haunted." It's all right though. The old manager before I had the place, he was always the last one out of here at night. He would live out on East Point, so he would drive down the alley here, hang right in front of the building, go past the building. There were a few nights that he looked in his rearview mirror, and one of the windows on the east side of the building, toward the back, there was light coming from it. And not just, a little light, like a candlelight or something like that, but full-blown, lit up, bright as daylight.
Wow.
The problem with that at that time, there was no electricity in that part of the building. There were no lights. There was nothing that could have been lit up like he saw.
Right.
And he said he never came back to see what was going on. He was a little too freaked out by it, so he just kind of went on his way. And the next day when he come in, there was no light. Wow. So he didn't explore it too much. I think he was a little bit more scared of the place than I am. So, but one of my first experiences in this building, we negotiated for a while, got this building, got the papers signed. It was mid-February of 2012. Fortunately for us, it was a mild winter, so the Miller Ferry was still running. So about a week or so after I signed the papers, I was able to get into the building and start working and doing the improvements that I wanted to do to it. About the second night that I was in here, it was 8 o'clock at night or so. I was at the front bar downstairs, taking some glasses, putting them in milk crates so I could transport them somewhere else. I was going to do some demolition, didn't want the glasses to get damaged. Between the two rooms, the front room, which we call the tap room, even though we don't have draft beer, and the back room, which we call the dining room, there were a couple physical walls and some stained glass doors, or some doors with some stained glass in them. All of the furniture from inside and outside was piled in that back room. There was no path through that back room. You had to either come in behind the front bar or you could go in the kitchen, but you physically couldn't walk from the kitchen to the front room inside the building without climbing over a bunch of tables and chairs.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm working. I don't have a radio on or nothing. I had a couple work lights up front just so I could see what I was doing. Just taking glasses, moving them over and stuff. And I turned the one time, and something caught my eye, and I'm kind of looking through the stained glass, and I saw a distinct human shape, shadow, whatever you want to call it, move across that room and then turn around and walk back. And I'm thinking, I'm like, one, I know the door's locked in the back. Two, you can't go through that room. You can't do it. So
Quietly, anyway.
Yeah. What is it? It didn't make a sound. So I'm like, all right, well, heard stories, and I keep working. About 10, 15 minutes later, I heard footsteps, and the footsteps were from the second floor. No radio on, no nothing, just me moving glasses still. Walk across the floor. Stopped for a few seconds, and then turned around and went back the way that it came. So I know the building, I've been through the building, multiple times, and I know the layout of upstairs, and I'm thinking there's only one hallway here coming like to this office and then going toward the front. Where the footsteps were would have passed through walls to keep going, to make it from the one side where I first heard them start to the other side of the bar room.
Damn.
And then back. And clearly footsteps. This was not an animal in the building at that time, but clearly some sort of footsteps.
Could it have been a raccoon wearing shoes?
If the raccoon would have been about 6'3" and 230 pounds and wearing shoes and walking upright, possibly. It was boom, boom, boom across the floor.
What was the pacing like?
Like a normal walking pace. It wasn't hurried. It wasn't running. Just a normal walking pace.
And is that when you put the tools down and said, nothing today?
That's kind of when I was like, all right, well, it's getting a little late. Maybe we'll go home and start this again tomorrow.
So do you think maybe that was TB?
That might have been TB. That might have been TB checking on the new owner, seeing if I checked out all right.
Yeah.
That could have been that. I haven't had an experience like that. That magnitude, I guess, since I got the building. I've heard other stuff and the stuff that happened to employees. Probably my favorite story to tell, and the one that usually gets everyone. Well, before we go into that, before we go into that one, I'll tell you a story about one of my security guards here. We have a mechanical bull outside. We've had it since we opened. It cost a significant amount of money, and when I got the building, I was worried about people vandalizing at night, trying to ride it, messing it up. So I put a security guard down here to keep his eyeballs on the property. About 3 a.m. one night, he was sitting at the back bar watching TV, and he just said the volume just started going up on the TV. And so he grabs the remote sitting right next to him and just kind of turns it down. And the volume went all the way up on that TV, and the TV next to it turned on. He ran out of the building. That was it. He was done.
This is a security guy.
This is a security guy. This was, kid in his early 20s, and he was freaked out.
Whoa.
When he sat outside the rest of his shift. He's like, I'm not going back in the building. So nothing happened to him outside. And we haven't had anything that I know of happen outside of the building itself.
All contained.
On the exterior. Everything is contained, and most of it, I would say, is centered around this upstairs here. So my favorite story, and the one that I love to tell, and the one that gets everyone here. So when I got this building, my son was almost 3 years old. He was exploring the building. His mom was with him. They had come upstairs. So my son Jax, he's down the hallway going from room to room, and there's not many doors on the rooms anymore, and he is making faces and stopping in the doorway, making faces, waving his hands around, making noises and stuff. His mom, who's with him, asks him, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just playing." "Well, who are you playing with?" "I'm playing with the little boy right there."
Kids, they know.
I'm playing with the little boy right there. And she says, what is he doing? Like, you know, oh, we're just playing. You know, we're going back and forth and making faces. And so the little boy apparently was running through the walls and going to the next room, and my son was following him in the hallway and stopping at each doorway, then making faces. And yeah. And this is where it gets good. And his mom asks him, "Oh, what's the little boy's name?" His name is Petey. She asks him, "Well, why is Petey here?" And mind you, right around 3 years old, a little bit less than, Petey's mom left him in the bathtub. That's what my son says. Okay.
I just got it. It just went right up my spine.
That's what.
Sorry, continue.
It's getting cold here. You feel that?
That's what my son says. Petey's mom left him in the bathtub. Okay. So she's, at this point, understandably freaked out. She's up here by herself with him. I was in the building somewhere. I mean, it was, and we were open, too. So there was other things going on, you know, people downstairs. And said it's very rare that something really happens, I guess, when we're open. So she asks him, what did the bathtub look like? My son says, there's feet on the bathtub.
The old claw.
The old clawfoot bathtub.
You know what? The first thing I took a picture of up here was the old clawfoot bathtub in the way back room.
And do you want to know what the most messed up thing about the story is?
Yes.
My son had never seen that tub.
Yeah.
He had never been back that far in the building to know that tub was even there. He had no idea.
When I saw that tub, I was like, that tub has been in this building since it since it was open. Like, that tub is. I had to climb under that whatever unit thing there was over there to get back there.
That's what I was going to ask. If you know of any known deaths?
We don't know. I don't know of any. Jax's mom tried to do some research and try to find out. Hey, did a little boy really die here in the bathtub? What happened?
See, I like to look at everything logically. So in my mind, Petey was a living X-Man, and he was able to walk through walls.
That's the only clawfoot tub left in this building. The only one here,
that
he had never seen it, and to know that a bathtub could have feet on it, because up until then, all he ever knew about was just a regular modern tub, and But so that one, that really gets everyone.
No,
that's when everybody's like, all right, I'm done. I'm not.
Anything involving kids, anything involving kids always adds that extra layer of ooh, because kids don't have pop culture screaming in their ear all the time. Because when people say, "Oh, I experienced a demon holding me down," or "I saw a gray alien," or whatever, it's like, well, yeah, but those images are prevalent throughout our pop culture and stuff. So that could just be something that your brain is conjuring. But when it's a little kid saying it, you're like, well, he's not watching movies, and he's not he doesn't know about any of this stuff. So how could he possibly have come up with that
layer of authenticity?
Yeah.
Well, how old's your son now?
He is 9 years old right now. So.
Does he talk about that anymore?
I was going to ask that question. Has he, and not to sidetrack too much, but has he ever showed any other signs elsewhere, or is it kind of just?
Or have you asked him about that and seen if he remembers it?
He says he does remember.
Remember.
He says he does remember.
Oh.
I have a very sharp memory from when I was young, about his age. His mind I've seen in school, and just how he acts and stuff seems to be very much like mine. So I don't doubt that he does remember that. He does ask about it sometimes. I try to explain him, what could be going on.
Yeah.
But now he's seen a ton of cartoons and stuff, and Scooby-Doo and ghosts and all that stuff. So, but he still comes up here every now and again. He wants to go on ghost hunt, whatever.
Awesome.
And so he tramps around the building with his little brother in tow, and they don't ever say that they find anything, but it was definitely an experience for him and one for his mom and a story for me to tell everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think. That's as far as stories go. That's
definitely the topper. That's like the finale.
Yeah.
Well, I think you were.
I really want to thank you for like opening up to us like this, but we kind of tricked you because we dressed up our Taz cam to look like you, so you.
Oh, okay. With the that looks more like Don King than me. With
We have the wind guard on our Taz cam, and he has a large beard. I think you were. Not to take up too much more of your time, you've already given us a half
No,
hour.
you're
We really appreciate
fine.
it. I think you were going down the path where your son's mother was looking into deaths, anything negative that happened here on the property.
Yeah, so she was trying to find stuff, and obviously from that era, records weren't the greatest and stuff. So she tried to do some digging on the internet and some books, some older books about the island, and I don't think she ended up really finding much. So sometimes we will try to scare our son, and he's being bad. Well, we'll put you in the bathtub that Petey was in, and but we would never leave him there, never fill him with water or anything like that. Don't want to get that idea. No, I love both of my sons to death.
How old is your other son?
Levi's 4. He just turned 4.
Is he have you noticed anything similar with him at all?
Nothing really. He hasn't had as much time up here. They do, kind of come up here. But actually, recently, they've been up here with me a lot more this summer than previous summers just because of their schedule and whatnot. So usually in the mornings, I come up here and count the money from the night before. Sometimes Levi, he doesn't want to come up here with me. So, and I guess I never really thought about it. I just, he wants to go play downstairs. But, he'd be like, all right, I'll go, but you got to carry me, or I'm not going to go. He'll get to the top of the stairs and turn around sometimes. So, but I guess I never really, really thought about it because nothing has really happened to me, and I didn't ever ask him, hey, bud, what do you feel? What do you, what's wrong? Why don't you want to go upstairs? So
Might be an interesting question.
Yeah, it's possible something is happening to him, or he feels something. Not sure.
Awesome. Any questions before I do want to segue to one more cool thing about you and your empire here.
Uh-huh.
Any other last questions?
I don't think so. So the liquor room definitely is where people are experiencing things. Have people experienced things here in the office?
Oh yeah, the girls have said that they've felt things in the office or heard things, a step or two or some sort of noise. But I mean, the building is, it's 140 some years old. Some of it is the wind. Things do creak and groan and whatnot. But there's definitely been a lot of stuff, in my experience, that you have to take as truth. I mean, before I got this place, I kind of people talk about ghost stories or things happening. I'm like, that's doesn't happen. Whatever, it's in your imagination. There's a logical explanation. Whatever. Then things started happening to me, and then other people, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, the place is haunted. And I live with it, I'm up here in this other office 3-4 in the morning. A lot of times I'm the last one in the building, and like I said, a lot of my employees, they run up here, put their money on the thing, and run downstairs, and they do it in pairs. I'm fine. I just
Do you ever
walk
have
through.
things disappear and reappear or anything like that?
That's a good question. Dave asked if he's ever had anything disappear and then reappear.
No, nothing that I've noticed. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of old stuff up here from the previous owners, stuff that we've gone through every spring or fall. We try to bring a couple guys up here and throw some stuff out, but nothing that I've noticed been gone or moved or anything like that. So
And I don't know if you guys covered this while I was walking around, but Alexander,
We did, yeah.
He supposedly killed himself up here. That's what I heard.
No, we didn't.
that I'm not sure on. I don't know that. I'm not sure where he died.
Was that Cassie? Was it a server who mentioned that? Or was it someone out on the streets last night?
No, I think it was either the bartender or the waitress that mentioned it. But that reportedly he hung himself up here, but nobody knows if it's true.
Yeah, that I'm not sure on. It's possible, I guess, but I don't know that for sure. I haven't
Good question.
looked too much into that, though. So I wish I had a good answer for you.
No.
So-
So if listeners came out, Put in Bay, came to your establishment, is this an accessible area for people who seek what we seek?
I mean, you guys we've had authors come up here before, and I think a guy just put out a book last year or 2 years ago.
The unpronounceable last name.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. My son read the book. He loved it. But I'd be interested in talking to other groups. It's not every day that I walk in like, hey, there's some people here that want to kind of go upstairs and see what they can feel, and I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. I mean, you guys, you definitely caught me on a good day. A little bit slower, a little bit rainy.
We tried to come in last night, but it was like 10 o'clock, and
I was home for the night, up early for a meeting and traveling on the mainland and stuff. But it would have been actually really cool to come up here last night, and I wish I could have taken you guys around and do this last night. It would have been really cool here in the dark. Might have seen or heard some other things. Can't say for sure, but would have been a little bit different ambience.
Yeah. I wonder if eventually there'll be a story that comes out of that kitchen area, because when we did come last night, I was getting it towards it was like the kitchen area, and then or like the living room, and then the kitchen. Where like the doors go into the kitchen.
Yeah.
So right in there,
yeah.
I was really feeling it.
Yeah. I haven't really had any of my cooks say anything. We do have a lot of foreign kids that work for me, primarily Bulgarian kids. Bring these kids from
like the hotel.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, why are there so many Bulgarians on the island specifically?
So the Bulgarian kids, and listeners, don't take this the wrong way if you're one of these people, the Bulgarians will work you under the table. They will work 100 hours a week and ask for more work. They don't care. They put most Americans to shame as far as work ethic, because they were actually raised right as far as hard work, and no job is below them. I mean, these guys, they do a lot of work. They work very, very hard, but it's all legal. They actually pay their own way over here. We go through a couple different agencies. They do all the paperwork. They send us some paperwork. We fill it out. I don't have to pay a dime to bring them over here, which is nice. They're here about 3 or 4 months on different work visas. One kid, he was here from Serbia a few years ago. His father was second in command of a nuclear plant over there. Second in command. Pretty high-level position.
Yeah, I'd say.
This guy made $700 a week. $700 US a week, pretty much running a nuclear plant. This kid was over here working about 80 hours a week or so, and he'd pull in about $1,000 a week.
Making more than his old man.
Making more than his old man. Yeah, who's running a nuclear plant in Serbia.
Incredible. Well, you're doing a great service to them, obviously.
Yeah, these kids, they'll come over here and they'll make more in 3 or 4 months than they will all year back home.
Is the Bulgarian immigrants like a specific Bass Islands thing, or is it more of an Ohio thing? Because I haven't heard of this anywhere else in the United States.
We've been doing it for years, pretty much since we've been in operation at the hotels. Cedar Point's kind of got into it a little bit. Cedar Point, the big amusement park in Sandusky, they've kind of got into it a little bit. They have about, I think, 5,000 total employees that work for Cedar Point. So they've been using Bulgarian kids because it's too difficult to find the Americans that want to work. We get a lot of Americans that, at the beginning of the year, I'll have 30 or 40 applications a week. I'll be lucky if I can get 2 kids over here for an interview out of those people. So based on their experience or whatnot, these Americans, they just don't want to work anymore. So I'll bring these kids in from halfway across the world that want to work, have a positive attitude every single day.
What a story.
Yeah.
And you and this is a perfect segue, you kind of mentioned your other establishments, right?
Yes.
This, where we're at now, T&J Smokehouse, isn't your only establishment. You got quite a hold here in Put-in Bay, and one of those establishments specifically, or locations specifically, could you tell us about the fire truck and the 9/11 connection?
So, last year we took a fire truck, an old pumper truck, and got it from Pittsburgh, drove it here, took the tank out, took the pump out. We welded a deck in the back of the truck, a steel deck. Wanted to build this into a bar, and put it on our property at the Grand Islander. We had a nice little grass area there. We framed up a deck back. I actually drove the truck in myself that day. The power steering just happened to be out on the truck, so that was fun trying to get this truck maneuvered to within a couple inches of where I needed it to be, so we could keep the deck square. Parked the truck, finished building the deck around it, built the bar on top of the deck, or diamond deck bar on top of the truck. We actually, our bar seats, our old fire extinguishers that we had fabricated
very cool.
into
I've
seats.
seen pictures, yeah.
We had a bunch of fire departments send us their jackets and with their names on it, and so we use those for the covering on our bar seats. On the awning, we put a nice awning over the truck to keep the sun out, keep people cool. We hung the actual ladders from the truck that were on that truck, and from the ladders we hung fire helmets that people were sending in.
Wow.
And it was cool. We wanted to go all out with everything. So different helmets would show up. People would bring us helmets. One day I went down to go get freight. All of our freight comes in via the boat line, goes to the freight barn, whatever. Go down, pick up freight. Just there's a random brown box, said Islander Inn on it. It's the name of one of my hotels. I just kind of got it, sat in my office, kind of forgot about it. Opened it a few days later, and inside was a helmet. I was like, oh, sweet. Somebody sent us another helmet. This is great, And inside the box was this very, very dirty helmet from New York Fire Department. And a note, the guy that sent it, he was actually in the World Trade Center, 9/11. He got out, which, as we know, a lot of people didn't. And what he said was he took that helmet off, set it down. He never wore that helmet again. So we pulled this helmet out of the box, and it's full of dirt and dust and whatever else is on that. From 9/11, from the World Trade Center. He did sign the helmet. He put his engine company on there and the dates that he was a New York City firefighter. And so it's very cool that we have that hanging there. We have this piece of history. Absolutely. And that when people we get a ton of firefighters that come up and that they love the bar, and then people in general, and then we tell them about the helmet, and that it's amazing that a piece of that day ended up here, on this island. So.
Yeah. What was your first thought, reaction, feeling when you realized what you were holding?
I mean, it was kind of surreal. It's just like, what is this? What is this doing here? And then to read the note. I mean, it hits you. I mean, I'm 35 years old. I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing on the morning of September 11th.
Just dead, right?
Stopped. Everything was stopped. I was over here. We were doing some end of the year maintenance. My front desk lady comes out. You got to turn on the TV. You got to turn on the TV. I go run and turn on the TV in the office and just watch the horror that was that. For pretty much all day, like most of the country did. So, but to have those memories kind of come back, and when you pull this helmet out of the box and just like, wow. This is something very, very rare. This is something no one, else has, and something that we're going to keep forever.
Yeah, that's a treasure.
It's just crazy having the particles on it. Dust. Who knows?
Who knows what's on it? You heard
it might actually be like human remains.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean,
you don't know.
It could be anything on it. You hear a lot of. It's come out since then. These people got cancer and a lot of asbestos and a lot of respiratory issues and stuff. Because of the buildings coming down, the dust and stuff in the air and all that. But it's cool. It's a very humbling thing. And when you tell the story and people that's really amazing.
Well, we're gonna make our way down to the fire. Is there a name for the bar?
We call it Last Resort Engine Company.
Last Resort Engine Company.
Because if you're calling us, it's already too late. So,
nice.
Yeah, no, the fire truck, it's sitting there. It's great. It's a nice little chill bar.
We're going to try to get pictures of it and put it up on the website so you guys can see what he's talking about. Did you guys take a walkthrough with photo? So we'll put photos
on my phone and on my
from the upstairs of T&J Smokehouse on the website as well.
And see the bathtub.
Yeah. What do you say we let this gentleman go? Do you have another?
No, I actually didn't go in the room with the liquor.
Well, I just got to say, brother, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
You're probably one of the coolest, chillest,
Thank you very much.
awesome interview we've had in a long time. So thank you. I mean,
We
that,
actually
so
captured it on the
I feel
podcast.
honored to have met you. So thank you.
No, it's good. Like I said, I like people, knowing the history of the island, and this building, it's definitely up there, with this historical significance, and it's nice to share things with everybody.
Awesome. Listeners, get out here and come to the T&J Smokehouse. You will not be disappointed. Come for the food, stay for the ghosts. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com, with over 200,000 audio programs to choose from, Audible has you covered. Horror, mystery, true crime, sci-fi, nonfiction, and more. All narrated by A-list celebrities and very unique performers. Go to www.audibletrial.com/SOS Radio. That's audibletrial.com/SOS Radio. And claim your free 30-day trial and free audiobook now. That's audibletrial.com/SOS Radio.
So I'm here at T&J Smokehouse, a couple doors down from our hotel. Right now in the upstairs room. I'm starting at the very front of the second floor. The second floor is purportedly haunted. I was trying to call this place for a couple of weeks, but their phones weren't working, so couldn't get a hold of anyone. So starting at the very front of the building, south side of the building on the second floor. There's a couple of rooms here with a bunch of decorations in them, Halloween decorations and whatnot, Christmas decorations. Not a whole lot going on up here. They're doing some renovations, so there's a bunch of stuff around, wires and ladders and dust and things. Another room here with a bunch of tiki torches and paintings and glass tabletops. A pretzel machine. Nothing really going on over here. A couple of closed rooms. Seems like this used to be a living quarters up here. Okay, in the office right now. Definitely kind of a presence here in the office. And then there's another room here. That's the other part of the office. That was one of the closed rooms. So there's definitely like a slight kind of buzz in the office. Nothing too crazy. But then there's this storage room where they keep all the liquor bottles, and this room definitely has a presence in it. There is probably, I'm going to say a 5 or a 6, maybe a 7 on a scale from 1 to 10, but it's definitely, this storage room is haunted. There's definitely something in here. Nothing in this room. Going past Lexi and Joe right now into the back portion of the building. There's a bathroom here. A little bit of a vibe in the bathroom. First room and the second part. Just another room of just kind of random stuff. This room has a bunch of pots and pans and things. Nothing in here. Okay. There's definitely something in this room. There's like a big sign that says tonight prime rib buffet. This has got a good kind of solid, room number 14. Good solid buzz in it. Nothing crazy, but good solid 5 or 6 on the scale. Next room over. I'm getting kind of a pressure in my chest sort of thing. Across the hallway. Not much there. This room has air conditionings in it. Air conditioning units. The rooms are getting messier and messier as we go. Oh, this one's got a bunch of water damage. Wallpaper falling off the ceiling. This room is like, it feels hot in here. Like it's not physically hot, but it feels warm in this room. Like there's something going on in here. Maybe a fire? I don't know. Then another room here. Not feeling much here. There's a big hole in the wall. I'm gonna cover my mouth here. Ooh, there's an old, cool, claw-footed bathtub in here. I'm gonna get a picture of that. That's pretty neat. This bathtub's probably a good 100 years old, if not more. But, yeah, I mean, it is during the day. We're at, it's like noon right now on a Friday, so the activity in here isn't too crazy. I'm sure at night it's a totally different story. But that storeroom and a few of these side rooms, I definitely get vibes from. Okay, I'm handing it over to Lexi now, if you want to go kind of walk.
Hello.
Narrate what you feel.
Well, when I first came in here, I automatically felt the presence as I walked up. And I am in the first room to the left. Wow. It's pretty intense. I felt like someone was trying to push me back, so I think that I'm not going to go that way right now. But yeah, there's a security shirt. Looks like a safe of some sort. Not much, but I'm sure the history behind it's pretty crazy. They left me alone up here, and there's a very tall male presence, hovering me right now. So I'm just gonna stand here because I am getting the feeling that I should not go in there alone. I don't know what it is, but now my knee is going numb. It has chills, but it's also going numb. Okay. I am standing on the stairs right now. I will wait for one of the boys to get back before I... Fuck. Just heard footsteps. I am going down the stairs. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for one of the boys.
Hello guys, this is Joe Erie. I'm going to do a walkthrough now. First and foremost, as soon as we came in, ordered food, I was sitting at the table, and all of a sudden I just started getting very panicky in my chest, and started going away. As soon as coming up these stairs now, I'm getting that same panicky feel. It's just an anxiety and tight in the chest. It's my head and my chest right now. All right. First, I'm walking through this hallway. It's very, very stuffy. I'm not really getting anything. at the end of the hallway. I mean, I feel it, but it's nothing crazy. Yeah, nothing. Just going in and out of these rooms. It's like a little bit on a scale. I'm not getting the body buzz. It's just more of a panicky feel up here. Just anxiety, just high energy in my chest. Alright, there's a door. One door is closed. It's like the little office. Yeah, nothing really off to the left. Off to the left has these the hallway with all these rooms to be both sides. Just nothing. Just a big high energy in my chest. The bathroom. I don't know. The bathroom kind of getting like a little feel.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we're off to the right side of the stairs.
This is where I felt it most. When I walked in here, it was squished.
Alright, I kind of feel it's going to be Here we go. Alright, so we're in a room with some paintings. Kind of. Walking into, another room. Not so much. It's more of just a stuffy energy.
This is,
Yeah, I think so. Alright, so I'm off to the right of the stairs again. I'm kind of actually. It's weird. This whole place, it's full, but it's like the same feel. It's not like anything's coming at me and attacking me, and I got the goosebumps. It's just I just feel it in my chest and my head. But let's see what time it is. It's also 12 in the afternoon. But it's definitely here. It's just not coming at me. And damn, now I'm not really getting any hits. When I was downstairs in the restroom, though, I saw something by the door in the corner of my eye about twice. So it's about it. Alright, so I guess that concludes.
This episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by Grammarly.com. Grammarly. Built by linguists and language lovers, Grammarly's writing app finds and corrects hundreds of complex writing errors instantly, so you don't have to. Copy and paste any English text into Grammarly's online text editor or install the free Grammarly extension for Chrome, Firefox, and Safari, and get to writing. Download Grammarly now for free at www.getgrammarly.com/ghost. That's getgrammarly.com/ghost. Bring Grammarly's powerful algorithm straight to wherever you are writing online. Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. What are you waiting for? Download Grammarly for free at getgrammarly.com/ghost. Guys, I just wanted to do a quick recap on our experiences at t&j's Smokehouse. I was really impressed. I did not think it would turn into what it did. Actually, sitting down with the owner and getting those incredible stories. Josh, wow.
Yeah, what a cool dude.
What a cool dude.
Especially crazy because I've been trying to call that place for a couple of weeks now, and their phone just rings and rings and rings. Nobody ever picks it up. And then we walked in there and found out that their phones don't work. And I was able to, I just asked, and the owner just happened to be around. I went and talked to him real quick, and we kind of like set all that up, like on the spot. Like that was amazing. That all came from just
and he had the time.
Man.
I mean, he has so much property. And
Considering what are the odds that we'd get him to be in that property at that time?
Yeah,
and after
serendipity, man.
After his talk, which everyone knows by now, after his talk, I immediately want to take a picture of that bathtub.
Yeah, it's like perfect timing.
That story.
That was. I think that story is probably one of the craziest stories we've ever heard. And I've got some favorite stories that I've gotten over the years or heard from people, but that one was like wow, because we were right there in the spot that it was happening.
Yes,
and on top of that, he said that his son still remembers it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that says something right there. And just to see the father tell the story about his son and, the look on his father's face as he was telling the story was really intense.
You need to put out a message out there. Like, if anyone had a ghost or something that they saw or interacted with when they were kids that they still remember in adulthood, please let us know. It would be a really cool episode to put together just all kinds of stories like that of people that still remember having these interactions and adults or parents or whatever backing up those claims. That would be really...
I mean, we could push it on a more regular basis for that something specific, almost like when a news channel does when they want a specific kind of poll. So I'll ask a question, right? Like, if you are this age, please call in to see your opinions of this.
It's like on the Maury show, like, is your uncle sleeping with your aunt's sister's wife? If so...
Anyway, that could be something, because we said that actual question, we've asked that question of our audience before, but only like once or twice. It's not like consistent. And if we say it as a premise to a show we want to make out of it, that might encourage some people to do it. That'd be cool.
I think it's a good idea.
That'd be cool. Unfortunately, it might encourage people to lie and embellish, which is also something we have to take account.
Wow. Because I can tell you, I don't remember much from my childhood that young.
Yeah, I remember. I don't. I remember.
You saw his face when he told that story. I mean, he was sincere, and he was
I can honestly say that when I hear people tell a fantastic story, and you know me, I'm like super skeptical of just about everything.
Right.
But when I hear certain people talk to me, like with what was it, Jason at the Petroglyph in Massachusetts?
Yes, Jason Yancey. Yeah.
When he told me the story that he told me, like. That's why I had to get you guys over there to talk to him, because even though I might not believe it happened necessarily, I might not be like buying into the story or thinking that it really happened or whatever, but I can tell that he believes it happened.
Right.
That the way he's telling it, that is something he really experienced. Whether it happened or not is subjective, but this guy absolutely 100% believes that happened to him
Right.
when he was a kid. And it might be a dream that he's remembering or whatever, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
that he's
sincere.
So when I hear somebody tell me a story like that, like a few weeks ago, which is a future episode that we're doing, we were in a haunted salon, and this woman told me this crazy story about her son seeing a man on the stairs, and later, the kid's 19 years old now, and he still remembers that from when he was 3 or 4 years old, of seeing this man regularly in the house. So when Josh told us that story about his son, that was fascinating to me, and that's why I asked him, like, hey, does your son still remember this 6 years later? You know, kid's 9 years old now, and he still remembers it. He still remembers that happening. And to be able to kind of compare notes and show that not only does that kid have the memory of that happening, but his parents can back up the claim, like, that's insane to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then to see the tub, like Oscar said.
Yeah,
It
that's really fascinating.
was not expecting that. How about when you guys pinpointed the liquor room, having no knowledge of the stories up there?
Yeah, the
Pinpointing the liquor
room.
room.
It was kind of disappointing to me because when I first went up there, I wasn't really. I mean, you can when you first come up, you're like, okay, there's definitely something up here. But all I was feeling, like, as far
It was
as
just
specific
everywhere.
energy
It was just
goes,
everywhere, and just.
But the only place I got, like, a real good hit was in that liquor room, and I'm like, well, this is kind of a lame place for it to be, because there's all these other cool, creepy rooms with cool stuff in them.
You felt it everywhere, but it wasn't. Yeah, you're not just one area.
Right.
It's
It was
just
like the middle of the hallway, and then it was that liquor room. And you, Joe, did not go into the liquor room initially.
No.
But that was one of the first places I was drawn to was the liquor room, and sure enough, there was something in there.
And where were you drawn to, Joe?
Well, all right. So we were actually walking the night before, and we went in to try to get an interview or look upstairs. And so we were just downstairs.
And you were shut out. Josh wasn't there?
No,
he was
yeah,
out for the night.
Yeah, we walked in right at the end, like after we did the Park Hotel interviews and stuff. We were just kind of walking around outside and walked over there to check it out. And I talked to who was the gentleman we talked to?
Oh,
it was someone at the door, working the door.
The bartender.
Yeah.
And he was like, nobody's here to talk to right now. Owner went to sleep already, so you'll have to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, but we did a quick, little walkthrough, really quick, of just downstairs, and I started getting it towards the kitchen, towards the kitchen area. Next day we came in, sat down, ordered food. I was getting panicky. I'm almost having like a panic attack. I'm like, oh my God, like my brain's like, blah, 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 blah. No. And I finally calmed down. I'm like, all right. I go to the bathroom, and I saw something in the corner of my eye by the bathroom door, and I'm like, okay, maybe my mind's playing tricks on me. Went back in again. And I saw something again, and I'm like, "Oh shit! I saw something again." I'm like, "It's not my mind." I'm like, "For sure." I'm like, "That's crazy. It's cool. I saw something." I do my walkthrough. I start going up the stairs. I started getting panicky again, like in my chest, in my head. I'm like, just nervous and like, just like an anxiety feeling. But didn't get like really any hits. It just I felt it throughout the whole place, but not really in any certain area. After we did the interview, I walked through again, and the first time I did go in the liquor room, because I didn't want to just walk in certain areas because I was respectful and stuff, and I mean, I'm not going to. I really didn't want to walk in like the liquor room. I don't know. I just felt weird.
You look like you would lift a couple bottles.
I'm like, but I'm like, wow. I did notice, a difference in there.
And didn't he? Oh, go ahead.
And as we were walking out, I'm like, whoa. Actually, I'm starting to get something right now. And it was in the middle of the hallway. He's like, yeah, this is where.
Yeah,
they say they feel it.
I oftentimes don't have physical things happen to me, manifest to me when I'm in a place. Like I don't necessarily ever hear like a footsteps or a door slam or anything like that. But when I walked in, I was taking a picture in the office.
Oh yeah,
and I distinctly heard a click, just a sound in the room with me.
it sounded like someone just dropped a pen on the desk, or so. It was a very subtle, small sound, just a clicking. It could have been like somebody cracking their knuckle, like just a sound like that you hear. But I could hear it in the room with me. It was like an ambient sound in the room with me. I don't think I had the Tascam running at that time, so I don't know if I got it.
I remember you were telling us,
but I definitely heard it. And so there's the main office, and then there's an adjoining room, kind of like think of a hotel room where the door goes between the two rooms.
Yeah.
There's an adjoining room, and I heard, I kind of felt like, didn't really hear anything, but it kind of felt like somebody was in that room, and that's where that sound came from. And I was like, hello, and I opened up the door. Nobody was there.
Wow. What do you think that was, man?
I don't know. I mean, it's an old building, so it could easily just be the building settling, wind, making something move in the room, or it could be something as simple as something right outside the window, flapping in the wind or whatever. I'm not reading too far into it, but it really did sound like that. Whatever that slight sound was in the room with me.
Wow.
So something I forgot to mention too is during in the hall, there's towards the end there's this big metal structure where you got to kind of creep between.
It was some sort of an engine to something. It was running something.
Yeah, and I didn't go past.
I don't know
that,
if it was a generator or what that was, but
I didn't even see the.
Don't
tub,
talk over each other.
I think it was HVAC stuff. It was like air conditioning.
I have no clue.
Yeah,
but I didn't go walk past there and even go in that tub area. Mm-hmm. But now I'm thinking back, right? That the kitchen. Sorry, I said the bar entrance. The kitchen entrance towards that back. If you were to go straight up, that's where that tub is.
Are you sure?
That's where
yes.
That's where I initially felt stuff.
Straight up.
When I first did my walkthrough of the upstairs, I walked through every room, and I crawled under that thing and went into the back and saw the tub.
But even during the day too, I went back to the kitchen area again, and
that's why
I did feel something.
I don't think anyone else saw the tub. So that's why when Josh told the story about Petey and the clawfoot tub, I was like, holy shit. Because I had seen the tub. You guys didn't know about the tub yet.
So I want to understand. Yeah. Can I real quick? Mm-hmm. So what I want to make sure listeners understand, what Joe is saying is the kitchen area is downstairs in the restaurant bar portion of the building.
Yes.
Upstairs, and of course you had you were drawn to that kitchen area.
Yes.
Upstairs, where all the haunted rumors are, where they come from.
Yes.
You're saying almost like a pillar of energy,
and that's
is going up through the building, and it happens to coincide upstairs with where the tub is sitting.
And that's
the
exactly
tub.
where it's standing. Yes.
Yeah. So I want listeners to kind of visualize this kind of pillar of energy in that building, in that area, kitchen going upstairs into where that clawed tub with, of course, Petey, the whatever Petey is. Story. Wow. Now, I thought I remember. Oscar, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
What did the Hotel Pfister teach us?
The what?
Pfister Hotel? Yes.
What am I missing here?
The same thing happened through 3 floors.
Oh, right.
Through 3 floors. We called it also a pillar of energy. Over one of the hotel rooms, I think, or maybe close to the elevators. I forget. Listen to that episode.
Yeah.
But so we've mentioned this before.
Second,
so
third floor.
We know that energy, it's not.
It's like a spike.
It's like
spike.
Yes. It's like it doesn't care about 3D necessarily. It follows a plane. It
doesn't care about walls. Doesn't care about floors.
Jay, we learned that at Morseland. The first place we ever investigated, we learned that at Morseland.
That's right. You're right. So, you guys are right. Good point. Mm-hmm. I want to backtrack a little bit. Joe, you mentioned the bathroom downstairs as well.
Yes.
Trying to remember, there was so much happening. I was focused on Josh as we were doing the interview.
Well, after I asked...
but didn't he collaborate the bathroom story?
Yeah, because after I told him, I saw something in the bathroom, and he's like, actually...
He did. He followed up with confirmation.
Yeah. He's like... they have a dryer that goes on and off all the time by itself.
Hand dryer. I experienced that as well. When I walked in, the hand dryer was just running. Also, that goddamn cowboy shadow on the wall, on the door, kept throwing me off because you see it out of the corner of your eye. There's
that's what I thought.
The silhouette of the cowboy, sitting up against a fence. You'll see on something
the cutout. Yeah, the black.
They had that
cutout.
on their door, and it just every time you see it out of the corner of your eye, it throws you off.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say this before I forget, but the pillar of energy through the floors. Think of pushing a toothpick through a Kit Kat bar. And all the different layers are going to have the same hole through them.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of like the best
just
way
picture what we said
to explain it.
No, I think you just confused everybody now.
I'm hungry.
I know, right?
Maybe one of those wafer cookies makes more sense.
I'm kidding.
Another butter.
It doesn't matter.
Just because I'm trying to
How about a marshmallow?
have people visualize something going through layers of something.
Yeah.
What about a 7-layer cake?
Yeah.
Yeah, push a chopstick through a 7-layer cake.
Could we get a nice cannoli reference?
Yeah.
Could we get a tiramisu? All right.
So with this dryer, though,
The hand dryer, right? Yes.
okay, it could happen. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna get another one. And he hired people, got a new one. It's doing the same thing. He's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And actually, this is another thing that was off the record that you guys don't even know about.
What?
I forgot to even tell you. So, you guys went downstairs. I was hanging out with them, and that's when all of a sudden I'm like, "Whoa! I'm actually starting to feel it right here." And he's like, "Yeah, this is the spot." Like
Josh.
Yes, Josh. And he's like, something else is, and he started pointing to the attic. And you remember during the interview when he was talking about that a light? Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, but he said that he was doing something, and a light in the attic turned on.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I don't think
there was a light that turned on. There was no electricity in there at the time, or something like
well,
that.
this is something completely different. So upstairs, there was a light that turned on by itself, and he's like, so he's looking for a switch, and he's like, wait, what? The only way to turn on that light is a little string up there, and I mean, I would say it might be like 15 feet
Off
to
the
that
ground.
light.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way that, and it kind of creeped him out because he's like, shit, it turned on by itself, and it's not like it was on and then it died and came back on. He had to go up there and actually pull it again.
Wow.
And the old lights with the string?
Sure.
And the scary thing is he had to go up there.
Man.
And I don't know if you saw that little ladder up to the attic.
I think I do remember seeing that. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
And that's the thing the listeners got to realize as well. Josh, when it comes to the hand dryer, the lights, things like that, Josh is an incredibly handy guy. He knows construction. He knows the ins and outs of his building. I mean, for Christ's sake, when he got bored, him and his dad built a freaking pirate ship. So this guy knows construction. He knows the building. He knows the ins and outs. And for him to say, that's not normal. That says something.
One of the things from my perspective is these are really old buildings. These are 100-year-old, 115, 120, 150
that have to be up to code.
They have to be up to code.
They're not running
but
1800s electricity.
But even a lot of the electrical last time it was redone or whatever, it was the 60s or the 70s. It's still a really long... I mean, you could see the wiring in that building, especially in that bathtub room just outside of it. There were like 50 different wires running into that one box. And so, I mean, it might just be faulty electrical work in the building that hasn't been repaired yet or whatever. So I mean,
maybe that's what that noise was that Dave heard.
I mean, yeah, it's possible. I'm just saying, you know me. I like to rule out every possibility. So even when there is something that's as clear as, this hand dryer is always going on even after we repaired it, well, maybe it's just for whatever reason that circuit it doesn't shut off for whatever reason, even when there's...
He had somebody completely redo it, take out everything.
But did he do all the wiring all the way to, back to the box or whatever? That's all I'm saying. Is it's an old building, so the electrical stuff, for me anyway, isn't a definite paranormal thing. You know what I mean? It could be just shitty electrical work from
40 years
See,
ago.
like I kind of like. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at the coincidences now, and for me being in there and seeing something, and I'm like I try to rule stuff out too,
Right.
But then after I tell him that story, and he's like, "Well, actually," and then he has another story to go with it, and it starts adding up, and then somebody else has another story, and it's kind of. It kind of veers, okay, maybe something is going on.
Yeah. Right. Don't know. Great. I did not expect any of that. Mm-hmm. You look at the
I could only imagine at night, if we went at night.
Yeah, upstairs. Maybe next trip back, Josh will let us go. But, looking at the downstairs, it's a remodeled kind of country and western themed barbecue joint, live bands play. It feels modern. I didn't expect this story to come out of a location like that. I judged a book by its cover, I guess, and I was wrong to do so.
I have possibly something to end it as a question. Remember when he told the story about the old manager? I wasn't the old owner, but it was the old manager before he or his family took ownership of the building. How one time the guy, last person out, was leaving. He saw a very bright light coming behind them in one of the rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't go back.
And
now my question to you, are you the type to go back? And investigate that bright light source that suddenly turned on in your
if I owned
sealed
it,
shut.
I would.
You know what? Honestly, I think the best story is, outside of the PD story, which is amazing, was Alyssa, our waitress. She's only been there for 2 weeks, and she's already had. She said last week, she went upstairs to put her money on the desk or whatever, and as she was coming back downstairs, she heard 3 distinct footsteps behind her, and she was like very adamant, like 3 distinct footsteps. I asked her, I'm like, could it have been knocking? Could it have been wind? Could it have been this? She heard 3 footsteps behind her and ran her ass down the stairs.
Yeah. Oscar, to answer your question, I think I would.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would go back and investigate to see what that source of that light was.
I would too, with a knife drawn or something. Thinking it might be like a human burglar type of deal.
Yeah.
Because obviously a knife is not going to do anything to a ghost. But yeah, I would go back too. I feel
nice.
Yeah.
You remember you had that going on in your garage
Yes.
at your house.
Yes.
And you went back. You filmed it. You hit it. You put a camera there.
I thought we were going back to Pittsburgh days, but now I know exactly what you're referring to. Yeah, when I recorded, that's up on YouTube. Listeners could see it. Mm-hmm. That was crazy too. Mm-hmm.
I would be afraid to go into a situation like that with a knife, just thinking if it is like some crazed hobo up there, he's probably more liable to grab the knife from me and slit my throat with it than I am to defend myself with it.
Fair enough. Final thoughts, guys?
It was a pretty cool experience. It was that story about Petey and his son was amazing.
Yeah,
that was one of the greatest stories we've ever gotten on tape.
Nice,
first-hand account.
Well, Joe, good.
Yeah, I was just grateful. It just happened so fast. It was like that night, the night before. We're like, oh man, we need to go up there.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, okay, let's go, guys. He's here. What? We're gonna go? Oh,
well, very good. Let's get some sleep and go on to the next adventure. Oscar, take us home, sir.
But not to Ohio, right?
We're already in Ohio.
Take us to our next location.
Awesome.